The 70 to 200 is one of the most recommended lenses today, probably because it is also one of the most versatile lenses to upgrade to once you already have your initial set of go-to lenses kind of already established. But is a lens like this really worth almost $2,000? Well, I think it could be, but maybe for a couple of specific reasons. The first one deals with compression, which really helps with subject isolation. Depending on how you establish the camera in relation to the subject and the background in accordance to focal length and the aperture you're selecting, you can really choose how much of the background or how close the background should be in your video or in your image. So to exemplify this, in the last image, basically I'm staying in the same spot, but the camera is moving back a little bit further each time. So 70 millimeters is a little bit closer to me than 100, which is a little bit closer than 135. And at the furthest I've moved the camera was at 200 millimeters. That keeps me the same size in the frame, but it also draws that background a little bit closer each time. I try to do a little bit of a crop to actually show you the difference between 70 millimeters and 200 millimeters with the background and the bokeh. So hopefully you saw a little bit of the difference. It kind of makes sense, the compression. I think it generally does, but I just wanted to mention that the more pronounced your background is and the less repetitive something like a wood scene would be, if you use something that has straight lines, you're definitely going to notice it even more. Now, the next big thing when it comes to buying a high-end, really pricey, in my opinion, zoom lens is the fact that it is a zoom. So the fact that you are able to adjust composition without moving your feet could be something that you should think about, and obviously is, for why you might want a lens like this. Now, the big example that I have for this one is very straightforward. I have a zoom shot from 70 to 200 millimeters. For this shot, nothing actually moves. The camera doesn't move, I didn't move, and the background obviously can't move. So therefore, none of the pieces are actually adjusting other than the fact that I'm zooming from 70 to 200 millimeters incrementally. And that's the big selling point to a zoom like this, because you're able to almost get a completely different composition just by moving from 70 to maybe 135 or from 100 to 200 millimeters. Simple adjustments like that could completely change your entire composition. And hopefully this kind of shows you that. But here's an example without my face in the whole shot. Let me know what you think on it. Now, of course, for this photo, I could have gotten closer to the bike if needed, but it is nice to have the extension when really you want it. So in this case, you're not all on top of people's property and having them really sketched out because you have a giant camera pointed directly at their property. Now, inevitably, the question still is a lens like this worth almost $2,000? Now, 2000 is kind of a clickbait title, so I can tell you right now I did not pay that for mine. It is the older EF model. It is a 2.8 L series Mark III lens. The RF mount has already come out, obviously, but it's still very expensive. And the reason why I chose this one over the RF specifically is because it also runs with my EOS, because for anyone that's seen the channel for a little while, you know that I run a lot of 35 millimeter. So therefore it works for both cameras. But the question's still the question. Is it worth the cost that it is? Well, as per usual, my answer is going to ride the fence as I choose the maybe answer, purely because it's going to depend on you as a photographer or you as a videographer and what you like to do or what you work with more often as to whether it's going to be worth it for you or not. Some people like sports, some people like cars, some people like portraits, some people like architecture. Whatever your thing is, it really has to boil down to, is this a tool that you want in your toolbox when you go to work every day? And I think for some people it absolutely could be. But now's the time to chime in if you haven't already. I hope you'll leave me a comment down below. If you have a 70 to 200, my question for you is, have you enjoyed it as much today as you did when you first got it? Are you picking it up as much as you thought you would when you first bought it? And if you haven't picked one up and you're thinking about it, and that's why you're watching a video like this, my question to you is, what is stopping you today from picking one up? Is it purely the cost? Is it something that you can't necessarily agree to because it doesn't fit enough things, or it's just not as versatile as you need it? Is the cost really the only reason why you wouldn't pick up a lens like this? I would love to know all of your answers in the comments below. And make sure to smash that like button on your way out of this video. Make sure to also check out the links for Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter, all the usual social links down and below in the description. I super appreciate you. Thank you so much for checking this one out, and I will see you all in the next one. Peace. There you go. I missed it on the last one. I didn't do it, but this time I did. So I want to make sure that I got it.